This week for our maths learning, we're going to continue with measurement. Last week you learned a little bit about centimetres and millimetres when you're building your trap and measuring your items. This week we're going to be looking at height. We'll also be looking at how to estimate. So our WALT for today is to estimate the height of our native trees and animals using the correct unit of measure. What do you think I might mean by unit of measure? Last week you looked at centimetres and millimetres. Those are units of measurement. But this week we're going to use metres and centimetres. So what do we know about centimetres and metres? We know that 1 centimetre is 10 millimetres, and you can see this in here with the centimetre between the 3 and the 4. There are 10 little lines that represent each millimetre. We know that this side of our ruler is the centimetres, and they go up in ones. So 1, 2, 3. This side of our ruler is the millimetres, and you can see that it goes up in tens, although it is upside down. But it goes up in tens, so 270, 280, 290, 300. We also know that there are 100 centimetres in 1 metre. We also know that we must all start measuring from 0. So when we look at our ruler, we need to make sure that when we start measuring, we start from this line here. This is our 0 line. Really important, you start from there. And just looking at the other part of our WALT is to estimate the height of some of our native birds and trees. So estimate. What does this mean? We use estimation to find a value that is close enough to the right answer, usually with some thought or calculation involved. For example, Miss McGovern estimated there were 100 sunflowers in the field by counting 1 row, then multiplying the number of rows. If I could see that there are around 10 rows and 10 sunflowers per row, I can try and make a calculated decision that it's probably going to be around 100. I wouldn't say that there's 1,000 sunflowers because that's not really giving me a close enough calculation, or it's not getting me close enough to the right answer. So when you are guessing and you are estimating, you don't want to make a really exaggerated measurement. So using this example here, I can see this is a Cody tree, and I'm going to use my prior knowledge that the Cody trees are the giants of the forest, as well as looking at clues from the picture to tell me how big it is. So what I need to think of first of all, what units should I measure in? Do you think it'll be centimetres or metres? But looking back on my knowledge that I learnt earlier, a centimetre is only quite short, whereas a metre is 100 centimetres. So I think this big, ginormous tree, which is also known as Tane Mahuta, would be metres. I'm going to take an estimated guess that the length or height of this Cody tree is around 20 metres. In your slideshow, you will find a template that looks like this. And what your job is to do today is to look at all of these things you're measuring, what unit you would use to measure, and remember those are our centimetres or metres, and then estimate what we think the length of the item that you're measuring or the thing that you're measuring is. So as you can see here, I've added in my unit of measure that I chose for the Cody tree, which was metres, and as well as my estimate which we said was 20 metres. And you can see I've included the M. That is correct. If you just wrote 20, it won't be correct because you need to say either centimetres or metres. When you click on the link, you'll have one of the slides that looks like this, and this is just some images of what you are going to be making your estimations on. So just a little clarification, the albatross or wingspan, you'll be estimating the length of an albatross. And also the Haast eagle wingspan, and just to give you a hint of how big this is a moa, which we all know is really massive. You may need to do some research on some of these birds. Some will be a bit more common, but things like these three, you might need to do some research of just how big they might be, but without giving away their wingspan or their height. So give that a go and make sure you refer to the slides link, and that will also have your table that you can look at to copy out for your work. So you give that a go, make sure you share it with your teacher.